So everybody, this is going to be a short one, partially because this shit's just about to kick in, but mainly because it's something that occurred to me while I was editing the last video. It's a psychological theory that you could apply to explain why the first 10 hours of a game that's 40 hours long can stay with you. So yeah, let's just get onto that quickly. Before I do though, my cat's on my desk, so if you hear or you see like a tail brush past, that's why. I'm just gonna get that back into focus as well. There we go. Should be all right. So anyway, yeah. There's a thing in psychology called the recency effect, and it refers to the ability of when you are given a sequence of information. It's usually numbers, because this is a really good way to test long and short term memory. When you are given a sequence of information, you will most reliably and accurately recall the most recent units of that information. So you might actually have experienced this if you ever played that Dr. Kawashima's brain training on the Nintendo DS. There's one of the little games in it is you get like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they're covered. You have to tap them in order, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it goes on like that. It's a fairly simple psychological test, and yeah, it measures long and short term memory. So if you can apply this to Days Gone, you can consider the entirety of that 40 hours of Days Gone as a sequence of information. I'm going to quickly do it here on the old chalkboard. Might as well make my money's worth out of it. So right, there's a start, and we'll draw it all the way to about here. Yeah, fine, okay. So that's your Days Gone experience in a nutshell. So there's 10 hours and there's 30 hours. 10, 20, 30, 40. Right. So we've got a breakdown of the rough amount of time that we will play. This is the thing that seemed to stick with Phil. So let's consider that the 40 hours at the end is the good bit. This is the best bit of the game, because obviously this is the finale, this is the climax, this is the bit that it's all been building towards, and everything coming up towards that bit. You've got your very bad 10 hours at the start, right? And we'll come back to that, don't worry. So there's your very bad 10 hours, and then everything between is going to be in service of getting you towards this bit at the end. It's going to be where you level up, where you get cool new stuff, where you unlock new abilities and new equipment. This is all the bit that's in service of getting you towards the finale, where all the good shit is, all the good action sequences, all the plot points are coming together. It's the finale. This is the thing that you're going to remember. The moment you finish this game and you start to write your review, or you start thinking about putting out a video, this is the bit that you're going to remember, because it's the most recent bit. And that's what we call the recency effect. Counter to that, there's something called the primacy effect, which is where you also remember the first bits of that sequence. So when you're given say if you're given a run of 10 random numbers, you'll most reliably recall the first 3 or 4 and the last 3 or 4 as well, depending. It's a sort of in between state. It's like an interim towards being shunted into long-term memory. Like, long-term memory isn't just one definable period of time. You can remember things that I give you a week from now, but a month from now you might have forgotten, or a year from now you might have forgotten, or 10 years from now you might have forgotten. But you can remember them within that period. So they're still within long-term memory within that week. But with the primacy effect, it persists. You are likely to not remember most of this, because most of this is going to be busy work. Most of this is going to be, doing the missions to unlock new gear for your bike, or new skills and things. This is going to be the bit where you are going to be formulating your first impressions of this thing as a whole. When you talk about Days Gone, and when you think about it, you think of the whole of the sequence. You think of the whole of the game. And part of that is the narrative. Part of that is how well it's paced and the things that you did. So when you recall the whole of your experience within Days Gone, you are recalling this bit because this is the end bit here, and this is the bit that you really wanted to remember because it's a good shit. But you're also recalling this bit reliably as well. You can recall bits from this in the middle. You can recall certain things that will stick out. There'll be certain missions or certain upgrades that you remember. Or there'll be a weapon that you've used for like the last 20 hours and you upgraded it here in hour 15 somewhere, or hour 25. You recall bits of them, but reliably you will recall the majority of this and the majority of this. So when you think of Days Gone as a whole, you're going to think of this bit because it's the last bit, but you're also going to remember this bit as well because it's the start of it. And this is what we call the recency and the primacy effect. There is another name for them as a whole, like the self-contiguity effect or something like that. The contingency. I can't remember. I'm used to referring to them as the primacy and recency effect. So yeah, that's one of the things that I thought was in play, and I really should have mentioned it during the video. It would have sort of broken up the whole losing your mind to DSP thing, but in my defense, I was kind of losing my mind to DSP, so I wasn't really thinking straight. But yeah, that's a reason why if you play 40 hours of Days Gone, you might remember the first 10 hours and the last 10 hours more than you'll remember the middle 20. There's some more psychology for you. Hey! See, I am educational, so you can actually use this as a Zoom class.